So now we'll talk about the dumbbell bench press and the dumbbell floor press. Another great option in case kettlebells are in short supply or if you're training from home and there's more access to dumbbells. You can do several variations of a dumbbell press with a bench. Here are a couple of my favorites. The first is just a flat dumbbell bench press. We can get a lot of shoulder stability out of a flat dumbbell bench press. So I'm going to be seated with the dumbbells on top of my thighs, and I'm going to tip the top end of the dumbbells back with me as I roll back to the bench. But first, I'm going to pull my shoulder blades down and back and get into the weights a little bit, lean forward into the weights. So I'm already packing my shoulders, because once I'm on the bench, they're going to be pinned there. So I'm going to roll back, use my legs to help myself into position. I'm going to set my feet flat on the floor, make sure my shoulder blades are still packed underneath me. Press through the heels and clamp the glutes together. Crush grip and press. And at the top of my press, I don't want my shoulder blade to come unglued from the bench. I want to make sure that it's still packed underneath me. That's one of the advantages of bench press that makes it such a great upper body strengthener. We have no movement in the shoulder blade. It's very stable. Unstable shoulders during a bench press are a recipe for impingement. So that's one version of the dumbbell bench press. I'm going to bring the bells down. I'm going to tip them forward, and that's going to help me up. Okay, the momentum of the bells can help you up. Another version of the dumbbell bench press is a McGill press, named after Stuart McGill, who is a spine biomechanist from Canada. I'm going to demonstrate this at a slight angle so you can see what's going on here. So I'm going to be seated with only one butt cheek on the bench. My other leg is off the bench. The edge of the bench is going to be along my spine. So as I rock back, I'm going to make sure that my off the bench side leg is quite a ways out there to support my new position. My other leg is going to be bent and my heel on the bench. So I am halfway off the bench and I'm already using a ton of glute to help stabilize the side of my body that's off the bench. My free hand is just going to go on my abdomen, and I'm going to let my body rock and drop back off the bench a little bit, and then use the glute to initiate the press. Now this time, I am going to let that shoulder float forward, draw back down, deep off the bench, use the glute to drive, and let the shoulder blade float forward into scapular protraction. This turns the dumbbell bench press into even more of a full body exercise than a regular flat bench. Yes, there's glute and hamstring involvement in a flat bench press with two dumbbells or with a barbell. Not as much as what we get in the McGill press. Yes, there's scapular stability built into a flat dumbbell bench press or barbell bench press. Not as much range of motion and stability through the range of motion though as what's in a McGill press. And eventually you can work your way up to some pretty serious weight because you're using a big amount of leg drive to help initiate that press off the bench. Next, we've got the floor press, which we can do with one or two bells. I like one bell because it's something that we're already familiar with. We've already gone through the Turkish get-up progression. So, one version of the floor press, you just set up exactly like you're going to do a Turkish get-up, and then just do the first phase, which is to press the bell up. Some other options. You can have the legs both flat out on the floor, lock the legs, squeeze the glutes. You can see I've got a little bit of room between my low back and the floor. I'm supported. I can get into that extension and it's supported by the floor. Hyperextension in the standing press, not something we want to play around with. Hyperextension in a floor press, fine. You've got scapular stability being priority number one. Another variation of the floor press, which I'm particularly fond of, is to do the floor press while in a bridge. Now this is not the hard style bridge that we do in our easy strength warm-up where we keep the rib cage down and hips up. This is a lot more like a classic wrestler's bridge where the hips are well up off the floor. Again, we can have an arch here because we're supported by the floor. Also, my feet are flat, unlike the hard style bridge where I have them dorsiflexed. So dumbbell in position, high hips, crush grip, and press. This replicates a decline bench press. And again, a great way to get glute and hamstring involvement in your press, which is a key ingredient for any kind of bench press. There you go.